Well, hey guys, what is up? What's going on out there today? Yes, Brent Abel here, webtennis.com with another episode of the Tennis Mindset Project. Hey, today's message is titled Toughness is a Habituated Skill. It sure was for me. It just wasn't natural. It wasn't instinctive to be mentally tough. I was probably the poster boy forever. Well, maybe not quite forever, but for a really long time of just being in denial that I really had to do a much deeper dive on, just the whole mental skills part of the game of tennis. I was fine with stroke technique. I was fine with fitness, all that great stuff, but the mental part, really underachieving there until I finally believed this title that is a habituated skill. It's a trained skill. I want to get into that today with you. I want to give you actually I've got 8 little bullet points that we can all train. And when you do that, I think what you'll find is that, you sort of get into the mental skills. You become a lot mentally tougher in matches, and especially in those matches where, maybe things aren't going your way, or those matches where the match is really close, whatever it is. There's lots of different situations where mental toughness is a real asset, and we can train that skill. Look, before we get into it, if you haven't already done so, be sure when we're done, going over to webtennis.com, pick up my free course, my 4 step-by-step between points routine, where you get to manage 80% of the match, right? 80% of the time we're playing matches, we're not playing points. We're either in between points or on side changes. And what I've found is that when you manage that time really, really well, we tend to play a whole lot better during the other 20% of the match, which is the actual playing points. So webtennis.com where we're done, and you can pick up that course over there. Look, guys, here's what I've got for you. Number 1, shot making consistency is toughness. And what that means is that you've got to be able to develop all parts of your game where you're consistent as a shot maker, right? This whole notion that you've got to have a weapon, a shot technique weapon, it doesn't make any sense if other parts of your game are inconsistent. That doesn't mean that all parts of your game have to be weapons. They don't, because shot making consistency is a huge skill, but it does take some mental toughness to be able to stay in the point and do that. And when you do that, that in itself, many times in matches, is a strategy, is a tactic. Let's see how consistent we can be with all parts of the shot making, right? Whether it's forehand, whether it's backhand, volleys, second serve, whatever it is, that in itself is mental toughness. Staying in the point, I just mentioned that, staying in the point until you finally get a real bona fide, juicy offensive opportunity is toughness. Too often what happens is we start looking for the exit for whatever reason. Maybe we're not playing well that day. Maybe we perceive that our opponent is really much better and that we've got to go for bigger shots with smaller openings early in the point. That's a sign of weakness. You've got to stay in the point long enough until you really get a fat, juicy opportunity to be able to have an offensive opportunity. That in itself is mental toughness. Emotional control at the end of the point is toughness. I mean, look, I used to be horrible, right? It was either be one side of the coin or the other, right? I hit a great shot. Boom, big running up the line forehand, go, come on, baby, right? And the very next point, and I'd miss a wide open court. The guy had fallen down over there in the alley. All I had to do was put it in the court, and I'd miss it and go crazy, right? And so what I found over time is that, first of all, you're going to make that great shot once in a while, but it's not all the time, right? It's going to happen once in a while. You don't want to scream and go, come on, baby, and tell your brain, hey, this is what we have to do every time we win a point. And the other thing too is we're going to miss some easy shots. It's just a reality of the game of tennis. And when we do, we don't want to go into the yo-yo thing of being way up here in a great shot and way down here in a kind of a bonehead error, right? So we've got to have emotional control at the end of the point. That is toughness. Belief, you'll eventually find a way. How many times, I mean, the last few years I've had matches where I'm just going, I don't know. I mean, this guy's playing really, really well, or I'm giving away a few points. And it used to be, if the guy was playing great, I'd panic, right? And start to go for too much. Or if things weren't going my way, oh, woe is me. Things aren't going, my way today. That's just being a mental midget, right? Eventually I came to believe that if you really believe and trust that if you have shot making consistency, right? If you're staying in the point until you finally get that fat opportunity, if you've got true emotional control at the end of the point, on those days, that kind of belief is just, I'm going to find a way. Not sure right now what it is. Maybe I've got to find a different tactical shot pattern against this guy. But whatever it is, I believe that in today, I'm going to find a way. And that is definitely toughness right there. How many times have we known that we should go out there and practice and we just don't feel like it, right? Whatever reason. I mean, there's 101 different reasons we could come up with when we're just not feeling like it. I've just found on those days now, I really embrace that feeling because I know that when I go out and practice on those days when I don't feel like it, really good things happen. So don't do what I used to do. Don't make excuses. Today maybe I've been practicing enough. Whatever. And I don't feel like it, so I'm not going to do it. Right? Don't be a mental midget like I was with that. Go out there on those days, especially when you don't feel like it, and put some. Doesn't have to be one of your best practice sessions. But the fact that you're going out there and overcoming that feeling of I just don't feel like it, that in itself is toughness. Fitness sessions on and off the court is toughness. Look, this is a physical game, right? Golf, look, I know golf's a hard game, but golf doesn't require you running around, for a couple, 2 or 3 hours if you have to on a hot day, right? So fitness is really a big component. And, we go back to the bullet point above. How many times have we felt like, I just don't want to go to the gym today? Or, after the end of a practice session on the court where you go, I know I should be doing my 5, 6, or 7 sprints, but I'm done for the day. Look, you've got to be able to embrace fitness as a real foundation, one of the foundations of becoming a better player. When you do that, especially on those days when you don't feel like it, that in itself is toughness. Look, match prep is toughness, right? Match prep meaning that you've really prepared in terms of getting your mind right a couple hours before match. If I know I'm playing a 10 a.m. match, I'm not going to wait I'm not going to check in at 9:55 and bank that I've got a 5-minute or 7-minute or 10-minute warm-up session with my opponent, that's going to be the kind of warm-up that my body and that my brain needs. I'm going to get out there an hour before the scheduled time. And I'm going to make sure that I crack a good sweat. I get a little lather going, right? Some of it for me when I do that is to break through some nerves. I might be a little nervous today against this opponent for whatever reason. I just know if I get out there an hour or so before and crack that sweat before the match warm-up, tends to work best for me. If I got all the stuff I need for the match in terms of liquids, right? If I got some food that I need in my bag, whatever it is, the rackets, are they all ready to go? If I got a couple, 2, 3, 4 rackets ready to go, whatever it is, if I got to change the clothes in case it's a long match and I need to change shirts at the end of every set, I'm going to be prepared. When you are prepped, when you are prepared for your matches in all those different areas, that is toughness. And look, it took me a long time to really embrace recovery. And it's easier on those days when you win to go ahead and make sure that you start the recovery process. For me, it's in 2 areas. Number one, I got to get some protein back in my body, and I've got to do some stretching. And I used to be just horrible at that, right? I mean, I would Yeah, well, I would certainly do something different than maybe get some good protein in the body, after a match, and especially after a loss. And what I've found now is that it's really crucial, really, really crucial to start the recovery process right away. That in itself, for me anyway, takes discipline. And it's a trained habit that I've gotten myself into that I think is another way of getting mentally tough, right? So look, I really believe that it's a trained skill. Mental toughness is a trained skill. I've given you 8 different areas here. There are more. There's always more things we can do that just give us that sense of mental toughness. So hope this has been helpful. Any questions down below, let me know. Always love to read it. And you can always see, I always love to read your questions or feedback, remarks, and then respond to it. And if you want to keep the conversation private, that's fine. Just shoot me an email, brent@webtennis.com. Guys, just a quick reminder, if you've not already done so, go on over to webtennis.com, drop in a first name, email address, and you'll get immediate access to my 4 step-by-step between points routine that once you talk about habits, talk about training, once you get this habit going, this is huge. And you'll see why once you see what each one of those 4 steps is all about. All right, guys, that's it for me today. Hope this has been helpful. As always, it's time now. We got to get out there. We got to help someone else have a spectacular day. Guys, see you again next time.